Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sunday. It is Q&A time, and we've never had to do so many individual face-offs in one video ever. People want stuff compared to individual. So let's go. And every week, the questions get harder and more demanding, but it's good because that makes me smarter, so I can share it all with you. So thank you all for coming. And of course, anything I say here was not financial advice, it's edutainment, and all the questions come from Patreon. Shout out to the team there as well. They keep me on my toes and keep me working 7 days a week. So let's go. Very first question is from Click. I'm about 75% GBTC and 25% ETH. And these are the Grayscale products, by the way. Should I transfer all to 100% GDLC for the larger discount with approximately the same allocation? Very interesting question. So let's break this down. I have a lot of thoughts on this. And this is a common occurrence. And boy, those discounts have been very generous over the last year, or in 2023, despite all the craziness, has been one of the most incredible years. But let's look at the GBTC and ETH discounts, because these are the two things you have both of currently. Right now, the price of Bitcoin's gone up. It's now $37,500. When I did this, it was $200 cheaper. But you can see the discount now is 6.54%. That is unbelievable. It's just going to zero real fast. And literally, I tweeted, I think last week, I said I can smell a spot Bitcoin ETF in the air. And that's why, that exact number right there, the ETH discount is 10.7%. 14 weeks ago it was 55%. You can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. It's wonderful. That's why it's worthwhile taking the time to model stuff out. So let's now break down the GDLC asset. So we've seen those two discounts. GDLC actually was at 55% discount as well not too long ago. Now it's at 22.39%. And note as well, you have 75.25, but really GDLC is 71.24 plus 2.3% Solana, 1.3% Cardano, and 0.69% Matic. I'll talk more about the significance of those three in a minute as well. The discount is 22.39%. And the lion's share is, of course, Bitcoin and Ethereum. So the question is, I like what you're thinking, very close to 75.25 and more of a discount. But will it go away? And that's the question. I think, yes, it will over time, but there's some things you need to consider before you swap. First of all, make sure you can do it tax-free. Otherwise, it's not worth it. Okay, so check your taxes if it's in a retirement account, and most of these probably are, then go for it. But remember, GDLC will probably not be converted to a spot ETF. If that's your hopes, the discount will probably not go to zero. All right, whereas the other ones will go to zero. It's pretty much a guarantee. The other thing that I've been thinking about a lot is the spot ETF typically tracks one asset. And Gary Gensler did point out Cardano, Matic, and Solana as securities. Of course, we don't care what he says. Nobody does. He's got no impact on the markets. But maybe he called out these three because he had a peek at GDLC, because they're in very active discussions with Grayscale as well, and they are the three highlighted here. So perhaps that's why people like Robinhood pulled them off, but there's talk of Robinhood bringing them back. And there's other good news too. Let's talk about this. The question is, will Gary Gensler be around by the time this actually happens? I don't think so. So yeah, you could do it. Do it if it's tax-free, but don't expect the discount to go to zero for these things because it's kind of a mix of different stuff. And the fees are quite high as well. So stick with what you have. Great question. Click. Next question is Stunt Chicken TV. Once the great GBTC discount goes to zero, how many shares of GBTC will be a full Bitcoin? Well, the number of shares for a full Bitcoin has no impact on the actual discount. And that's the easiest question I've had all week. So you need, right now, today, 1,115 GBTC shares to own one Bitcoin. And that's a lot of shares. So when you do the math, it all comes back to this calculation right here. And in fact, in the model that we have on Patreon, you'll see it'll always refresh real time how many Bitcoin per GBTC you need, etc. to be a Wholecoiner. So I like the way you're thinking. Stunt Chicken TV. I'd love to see some of those stunts. Next question is, we just did that one. Next question is this one. Swear to Panda. What do you think are the odds of a Solana ETF in 2024 or 2025? Here we go again. A lot of ETF questions before we get into the really tricky stuff. So we'll get this out of the way real fast. First of all, the way I think of this, you said 2024 to 2025. I think a 60 to 80% chance we will have a Solana spot ETF. And the reason, because Bitcoin and ETF spot ETFs will already exist. They're coming real soon. I reckon 50 days from now, we could be having one. That would take us to about the 10th of January. Also, Gary Gensler will be gone. Don't forget, everybody. Say goodbye. Bye, Gary. He's the most disliked human anywhere. Also, the Solana asset will be very large by then. There will be a lot of real-world assets. They will migrate to Solana. And that will force Wall Street to force the SEC to approve a Solana spot ETF. And we know that the case for XRP already fell down the toilet. And I tell you, if XRP is not a security, I don't know what is. Period. So let's go look at other things as well. Payments will be mainstream. More pressure will be exerted from companies like Visa that will be managing payments on the Solana blockchain. And Firedance will be live. And per my theory, since March 2021, this could be the ETH killer. And it'll be the black hole that sucks everything in. And that's it. We'll look at some data representing that in a minute too, comparing Solana to ICP. Next, this was an interesting one, which I never looked at before. And I'm not a bond trader or an ETF options player, but this is You Are My Shine. What do you think about leaps on TMF? These are the January 2025 calls. So what is TMF? I had to dig this up too. It is a leveraged ETF that uses borrowed money to amplify its returns, which means it can get significant gains and upwards. And of course, the converse is true. It is inverse correlated with stocks. It tends to move in the opposite direction of stocks. And this can be beneficial to a portfolio, as is the case with traditional bonds. But we saw that that's not the case anymore. It is, however, riskier than traditional bonds because it's leverage and inverse correlation to stocks. So it may not be suitable to all investors, but we're going to break this down in a little more detail. This is the ATR chart looking at the ticker TMF, which is a directional 20-year treasury bull leveraged ETF. And coincidentally enough, the ATR, and this was never in my watch list, but I was thinking, wow, the ATR model did flash a buy at $4.20. And according to this, it's right 80% of the time. So that could be interesting. So then I dug into the actual options themselves. And we're looking at 2025 options on TMF. Could it be worthwhile? You can see here, one of the problems for this actual option, if we look at the 2025 call options, whether $1, $2, $3, or $4 strike, there is no volume. 46 contracts. There's nothing, and there's no open interest. So that means there's nothing I can do it. There's no liquidity to be able to play with this asset. So I need to, it's rare. There was a situation way back when I actually was the one buying all of the CleanSpark options, and I was the one selling all of the CleanSpark puts, but it took weeks to get them filled. Anyway, with this, I wouldn't be able to play with it. Maybe you can, but it's not exciting from my perspective. But this is interesting on how it did flash a buy signal. Why don't you just buy the stock instead of buying the options? You don't need them. And you could get good returns there. In fact, based on this, it could easily go back to $10, considering where the market has actually come from. And considering rate cuts are coming probably in March 2024. So thank you for the question. And it's interesting to look at TMF. Next question is from CR007, ICP. I see massive tech, but not sure where they're heading with actual use cases and useful adoptions. Perhaps solve issues of Oracle natively and also bridging and Ethereum and Bitcoin as it's integrated in, and no centralization or other bridging issues. So this takes me back in time to 2021 when I first started, and literally every pumper was pumping ICP. And I remember the comments. We had to block the term ICP in YouTube comments so the spammers wouldn't do it. And it was just incessant. So let's look at where it came from. So ICP is down 99.07% from its all-time high, and it's still at the bottom. It's nowhere near level 1, and that's kind of scary. In fact, it also just flashed a sell signal as well. So that's not good. Let's compare it to another layer 1. Now, I know there's a lot of people that have beliefs and hopes, and I hope there's not a lot of people that held this all the way down 99%, because that's not good. And if so, that can toy on emotions. Actually, last night I spent a lot of the night researching kind of the mental block that drives a lot of toxicity, and I'm thinking of doing a Substack on that. If anybody's interested, let me know. It's weird, but it's numbers based, and I crack the code on why people are upset and why they don't sell stuff. Anyway, this is ICP versus Solana. Just randomly picked one token to see how it stacks up. So Nakamoto coefficient is 2, which means very heavily centralized. Solana's Nakamoto coefficient fell from 32 to 24, so it's gone down. The fire and answer will help support that and go up again as we go forward. Max TPS 11,500 versus 710,000. Daily transactions 8,000 versus 51.6 million. By the way, these models refresh every day. This is data from yesterday. Okay, it could change tomorrow. It was probably different the day before as well. Remember that. Also, daily active users 3,800 versus 500,000, and transactions per user. You could say that Solana smashed it every day, but I just wanted to see adoption is very, very important. And if you just put this in perspective regarding Solana versus ICP, Solana does more transactions, and these aren't messages, these are actual transactions in 4 seconds than ICP does in 24 hours. This is today's data from Dune, and Solana is processing 900 transactions per block, which is every 400 milliseconds, which means empirically doing way more than 2,000 non-voting transactions per second across 3,000 global machines. For reference, ETH does 12 transactions per second, and we just saw what ICP is capable of. So again, put things in perspective and use data to find things that are kind of getting adopted and do more. That's kind of like anything in life. Let's look at some more data. This is part 2, ICP versus Solana. Average fees. ICP wins this one. They get more fees. They're more expensive than Solana. Actually, they're cheaper. Sorry, they're cheaper than Solana at 0.001. And Solana has gone up because the price of the token has gone up. That's why this is up. And in fact, I think it was Gnarly Quinn showed that even if Solana goes to $600, the price of a transaction will still be very, very, very cheap. Let's look at some other stuff too. Daily fees, 118,000 versus $4. I'll repeat, ICP does $4 a day. I have spoken many times about crypto fees. I've stat ranked every blockchain across their fees from top to bottom. And if you're not making at least 10,000 a day, you're not going to make it. But maybe they could also pivot to, I don't know, CBDC like some of the other chains. And they do have 164 developers, but they're not getting adoption. So I don't know what they're developing. And so from that perspective, it's okay, but still not as good as Solana. And then part 3, we'll look at some other metrics. Fully diluted market cap over TVL. Again, Solana wins TVL, Solana wins DEX volume. Solana is 9,000 times higher. Stablecoin market cap, it's infinitely higher. Distance from all-time high. You can see that Solana is 78% from the all-time high. And ICP, when you round it up, is 100% from the all-time high. And then fully diluted market cap as a percentage of ETH. You could argue ICP is more upside because it trades at 1% of ETH's market cap versus Solana, which is now 13%. I remember not too long ago, I was doing videos and Solana was trading at 4% of ETH's market cap. And I said it was completely ridiculous. It is absolutely baffling and mind-blowing. And people still remember those numbers. And then Twitter followers, obviously 2.4 times higher on Solana. So the point is, ICP, yeah, is it going to make it? Not with this adoption. And I just want to say one thing as well. And remember, data wins over time. It was a very hard week for some of us here. But this is my new motto. Data wins over time, and where hope just watches, everybody. Remember, hope is not a strategy, okay? Now let's look at another way of 5xing your money. If you were in Solana instead of ICP year to date, you would have made 5x your money on Solana. So I hope there's enough data points there. Yeah, it wasn't good in 2021. bad tokenomics. It's still not good today. And the compendium score is not good either. So next question from StrictNat. In general, the graph has it's weird. Graph was a hot one back in 2021, and we're going back to 2021 a lot now. It's nearly 2024. But this is from StrictNat. I was thinking about switching out my graph for PYTH after watching your PYTH video. But the question you have is, what's more likely, graph to hit $1 or PYTH to hit $5 in this bull market? I love these questions. It makes me think. So let's break it down. Real simple terms. I'm not going to do a deep dive in this little face-off, but I'm going to do a little numerical one as well. So if the graph goes to $1, it means it nearly has a $10 billion market cap. Given the current number of shares circulating, it's $9.3 billion. That's a lot for a blockchain company. But let's see. If PYTH was going to go to $5, that'd be a $7.5 billion market cap. Also, not 10 billion, but pretty close to it, way up there. So they're both kind of similar. So I like the way you're thinking. But now let's calculate ROI and then think about probabilities of what could possibly work. If we look at the ROI of graph versus PYTH, if the graph goes to $1 and PYTH goes to $5, the ROI is 1,045% for PYTH versus 582% for the graph. And I do believe, in 2021, I did like the graph. Today, technology has come a long way. And not only do I believe PYTH has more integrations, more connections, more data feeds, far more speed, 300 milliseconds than the graph. So from that perspective, I would, well, if I had to buy one, you know what I bought. So that's it. In fact, it was underwater on my swap from Solana into PYTH by about 0.8% a few hours ago, but now it's back positive again. It's about 130 as we speak. So thank you for the question. Hope that helps in making your decisions. Next question is from ChatBTC. With Ethereum ETFs potentially coming early in the cycle and ETH flipping deflationary again, does this change your price target for the top of the bull market? And the supply crunch for Ethereum may actually exceed the Bitcoin supply crunch with the increased gas fees. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on, and there's a reason I still hold ETH. And they are the following. First of all, I do believe, yes, deflationary is something that is good. I also do believe the traditional finance world will look for a bond replacement after seeing what happened to bonds. And Ethereum is that. It's an asset that goes up and it pays a return. I do believe Wall Street money will come in with the spot ETF. I do believe as well Ethereum has the Lindy effect, which we spoke about yesterday in big time for Bitcoin. And I know that it powers over 90% of DeFi for now, but the ETH killers are coming. So from that perspective, yes, I still hold. Yes, it'll do well. What will the all-time high be? I don't know. If it gets to 5,000, that would be impressive. We'll see. But, you have so much competition now chomping at the ankles of Ethereum. And there's going to be that black hole, as you know. And my plan since March 2021 was to find the ETH edge, found it, and make it equate my ETH bag. And now my Solana position far exceeds my ETH position, which surprises me even. But I didn't expect Solana to move so much this year. Next question is from Doggy Boy. You have really convinced me that Tesla will go up a lot before 2030. What don't I know that would stop me from selling long-term puts and buying long-term call options? Well, I'm working on a new model. I did with my 8 ways to $8,000. I'm now doing 10 ways to 10 trillion. And it's pretty mind-blowing. And that model will be coming out soon. I will be on with Herbert. And I'm going to showcase it there if I don't showcase it to you first. And it'll also be a model that I'll make available to Patreon where people can pull their own levers and play with it and make your own assumptions. Like if you think energy business is going to go this way and robotaxi is going to go this way and the Optimus bot will go through the roof, you can play with it yourself and put in all your timelines and assumptions. It'll calculate the actual stock price for you. Working on it for now a couple of weeks. So it's coming soon. But the question is for you, I do exactly what you're talking about and I'm doing it for nearly 7 years. Selling puts against Tesla and buying leaps on Tesla. And it's been life-changing, like many other things in investing. So yeah, the only kind of headwind, obviously, one of the things that does keep me awake at night is Elon Musk is very much disliked by everybody because he's a threat to the status quo. He's a threat to mainstream media with X. He's a threat to the AI companies. He's a threat to governments with X as well. He's a threat to all sorts of industries, whether it's energy, whether it's oil, whether it's car manufacturing, and he's a threat to global telecommunications. I mean, the list, I could go on and on. He is disrupting everything. Oh, Neuralink. That's not really a threat to anybody, but that will help a lot of people as well. So that's kind of my problem, is how much he is disliked in the world. And that's only going to continue as he disrupts more stuff. So beware of that. Next, one other point as well that I do say from investing. Scared money don't make money. I think that was a Florida football coach who said that once. So don't let fear keep you out of good investments. All right. Next question is from J. Blaze. Hope I got that right. Contemplating the head and shoulder possible correction across the board. Could this be another 2K to 200,000K possibility on the MicroStrategy Bitcoin arbitrage model? If I recall, we were at 37K for Bitcoin, but MicroStrategy was in the dirt at the time. And with the models showing MicroStrategy into 4K plus territory, do you see a potential repeat of this lightning in a bottle? So that was, I was in that trade, and you remember it turned $2,000 into 200K in a few weeks, and it was kind of mind-blowing. But no, that is harder to do now because more people are aware. People didn't know what MicroStrategy was, and it went through the biggest gamma squeeze I have seen probably in my life because people didn't do the math. And this is kind of what that gamma squeeze looks like, the lightning in the bottle you're talking about. It's in Feb 2021. MicroStrategy were accumulating Bitcoin since August 2020. In Feb 2021, there was a move in Bitcoin, and of course, massive FOMO and gamma squeezes into MicroStrategy, and it took the price up to nearly $1,200 from $200. So that's that kind of lightning in a bottle. Right now, again, you can see where we are. We're approaching level 3, but really you need to break it down like this. And this is in the, again, one of the many hundreds of models that Patreon have. This is what I call the ARB model for MicroStrategy. And what I did was I put in updated prices. So for example, if Bitcoin goes to 75,000 or 79,000, you can see MicroStrategy will go to about 885, call it 886. Let me make sure I get these numbers right. If it goes to 100,000, we could get say a $1,200 MicroStrategy price. If it goes to 130K, it could go to $1,500. Now, a lot of people are anchoring on that 130K for this run, and that typically would be 3x the last all-time high. Or no, sorry, that would be 2x the last all-time high. 3x would be like 180K. I don't have 180K here, but I got 155, 200. So $200,000 Bitcoin would be 2,300. Again, I think that's way too optimistic. But then again, things are shaping up differently this run because of the hardness. And some people were confused yesterday. What I mean by hard is a hard asset, something that's very scarce. Okay. And Bitcoin is just getting harder and harder every single week from the on-chain data that I'm looking at. So with the big money that's coming in, it could explode things very rapidly. So I hope that helps. But no, the market's smarter now, and they watch my videos, so they know about the ARB model and stuff. So let's see. Next question is from Trading Marokian. What do you think about Palantir? Is it a good investment? I've covered this quite a few times. Palantir is not something I like. It is kind of a weird company. It does a lot of secretive stuff that you don't have transparency into. And I like data. When I don't have all the data, I don't trust. Very simple. And because Palantir does a lot of government, covert, CIA stuff, we don't know exactly how much they're making, what they're making. We know ballpark revenue, but not exactly who the customers are, or how much they're paying, or how long the licenses are, or what the licenses are for. So I don't like that. I like data. So back to your question, is it a good investment? Well, again, looking at the chart here, and I've covered this many times before, I said it's an easy $22. It's about $19 right now as we speak. and it could hit $29. But the problem we have is the growth is not as gangbusters as it used to be in the past. And I don't get excited for, what is that, 48% from where we are now. So we can make a lot more money in crypto instead. So Palantir, not for me. And you see lots of thumbnails from lots of YouTubers like Palantir to 500 and everything else. It's like, don't believe the thumbnails. Okay. Next. Oh, by the way, AI is also, this was one of the very early MML type companies or large language model type companies. Now they're facing very stiff competition from others. And also, they didn't know about Hamas. They should have known about that. Apparently, for years we thought Palantir had tabs on every terrorist organization on the planet because the US government pays them for that. But they missed that one. So anyway, enough of that. Let's talk more about Shawdow. This is from Pain to Pineapple. That name sounds painful. I hope you're not in pain. But have you looked into Shawdow? That's SHDW, a new DePIN project on Solana. It's been making some solid gains in the past bit, and I'm curious how it would rank on your Crypto Compendium. So Shawdow is a utility token that powers the Shawdow DePIN ecosystem, which is decentralized storage and compute, kind of like Filecoin and some of these others. But one of the things I can say is because the Shawdow token is so small, it's ranked number 2,351, we do not run compendium calculations on the top 5,000 tokens. It takes a lot of data to get a score, and most tokens beyond the top 500 don't even share data. Everything is kind of secretive, and again, just like Palantir, it's a black box. I don't like investing in black boxes, but I can't see all the data. One of the things I liked about PYTH this week is I could see all the data, everything live, and I like that. Without data, I just feel naked, and I feel like I'm going to be mugged down a dark alley, and that doesn't make me feel comfortable. So we do not have a Crypto Compendium score in this, but we are keeping tabs. Let's talk about Shawdow for a second, because there's a ton of community chatter about this one. And I am keeping an eye on this and a few other names too. So it is, again, as I mentioned, a decentralized storage platform. It's similar to Arweave, Filecoin, all these other names, but it is faster. And even though it's a new coin, it has really good tokenomics. We don't have a compendium score yet, but maybe we can pull one out for this one. Holders can also earn rewards by staking, operating a node, or contributing to the app. And they also have a unique feature. They call it Recycle for slashing penalties, which rewards other holders instead of burning them. And it is a DePIN play built on Solana, like many other DePIN plays. And we're going to see a lot more of this too. And that's why transactions on Solana are going through the roof. That was another question I got the other day. But it is kind of worth looking into also. As I mentioned, the tokenomics are good for long-term holders, relatively new. The team is experienced and it has a very strong community. So it has all of the kind of good stuff that I like, but it's still very, very small. Way out there, ranked number 2,734. But there are some other things as well. A lot of people have asked me to look into some of the top Solana projects. And shout out as well to Wrecked Fencer. This is his image, not mine. And he talks about some of the top tokens. I know when you see 10x to 100x potential, it's like, that scares me. But there might be a treasure here. And we've seen what this one here, the yellow one with Bonk, has done. I mean, insane returns where like $200 turns into, nearly $1 million. So it's a crazy world. It's a Wild West. You don't have which one of these things is going to pop. So we're going to try apply our regimen of looking at deep data and fundamentals and see if we can identify a treasure here. So don't forget to subscribe if you want to find out what they are as well going forward, if we find one. So we'll see. And we actually found one already that we believe is one. That's PYTH, which is actually on this image as well. So next question is from, and let me know if I'm doing too many questions or going too fast, everybody. Next question is from Mad Tux. I still have a small position in PayPal, of which I'm thinking to get rid of. What would you do in this case? Sell and buy Solana? Great question. Great question. And the timing of this question is really bizarre. Because let me show you why it's kind of crazy. It's kind of a vexing one. Because if you look at the PEG ratio for PayPal, it's at an all-time low today of 1.07. It maxed out at 6.26. So basically, what this means, as of today, PayPal's PE ratio is about 16.02. Its 5-year EBITDA growth rate is 15.2%. Therefore, the PEG is balanced, 1.05. It's basically nearly 1. Anything with a PEG of 1 is good. Anything at an all-time low PEG ratio from a company like PayPal has been around for 20 years, it's kind of not the point where you want to sell. Okay, so I don't hold PayPal. I got rid of my PayPal and my Square last year, and they've had a rough year this year, no doubt about that. But I think it's kind of weird. Could PayPal 3x in the next bull run in equities? Yes. Could Solana 3x in the next bull run? Yes. So it's a tie. If you come to me with PayPal being over $100, I would have said get rid of it, buy crypto. But now I can't actually say that because this is a fair value. So I hate to give you that type of answer because I know you're itching to get out of it, but it's so cheap you just can't. But then again, the growth isn't exactly spectacular at 15%, but it's a damn sight more than many other companies. Next question is from Nick S. Currently, I have all my crypto on Coinbase because I think it's the best combination of simplicity, stability, low maintenance. I also trust it because it's a highly regulated public company. Do you think it's okay, or should I really move to self-custody? So in full disclosure, Coinbase is one of the exchanges I do use, and they have certain bells and whistles. I use whatever their advanced trader capability is. It does cost a bit every month, but it's worth it for what I do. Now, the advantages of Coinbase, you're dead right. The simplicity is very user-friendly. It makes it very easy to buy, sell, and store, even send crypto. It has some good security features as well. Make sure if you do have a Coinbase account, all right, you need to make sure you have a YubiKey or some other security method on it. Very important. Also, make sure all your addresses are whitelisted. Okay? Do not have things not whitelisted on that account. In addition, they take care of your private keys. That can be a hassle for people, if they have bad security or they don't trust themselves, they lose stuff or whatever. So be careful there. And regulated is very heavily regulated and trusted. In fact, Coinbase are now in bed with BlackRock. All right? Coinbase would not betray BlackRock. You'd end up in that dark alley I spoke about earlier. So from that perspective, yes, I do trust Coinbase. Okay? I do trust them. But a lot of people have had their Coinbase accounts hacked. Therefore, you have to be in charge. Even though you have your crypto and Bitcoin on that centralized exchange, it doesn't mean somebody won't hack into your account to take your crypto. And that's not Coinbase's fault. So let's talk about the advantages of self-custody. Again, you have control with it. You have complete control of your private keys, which means you are the only one who can access your crypto, but you're also the only one who can lose it. Self-custody wallets are generally considered more secure than custodial wallets like Coinbase. And it's because you are not relying on a third party to keep your crypto safe. And also privacy. With self-custody, your crypto is not subject to Coinbase's terms of service, which means your information is not shared with third parties. So if you're concerned about privacy, do your self-storage. But remember, you got to have tight OPSEC. I mean, we've got professionals in the community. One who is an expert. Lots of wallets, lots of expertise. Somebody dropped an NFT in his wallet, clicked on it, drained his account. So even experts can lose by just one little mistake. So be careful out there, everybody. Next question is from Jones H. My holdings are Bitcoin 56%, Sol 33%, and ETH 11%. I have 15,000 euros ready to deploy, an additional 13,400 in January. Call it 30,000 euros. But I need to earmark 11K for taxes next July. So with that 6 month plus, I call that 8 month time horizon, what's the best strategy? I have no Tesla, but considering adding it plus more Solana. However, I lack trading experience. Could you recommend the suitable approach? DCAS, Lilo, or the ATR model? So for you, a couple of things. I would say DCAS, it does enforce a disciplined investing approach because you have you have the money now. And the team don't says we do have the Black Friday sale ends tomorrow, but all the models are 30% off. You can get 30% off DCAS for 2 months, and after that you'll have spent all your money and then you would have got value out of it. So use that. But you are too heavy in crypto. You do need equities. I think there's lots of disruption on sale. I just showed you, I wouldn't buy PayPal myself, but it's very cheap. Also, I do believe Tesla will be nuts in 2024. There's nothing but extreme tailwinds behind it. And we're seeing massive halo effect as well from all the buzz around Cybertruck. And that's launching in 4 days in Austin, Texas. So yeah, get some equities, get the 30% off, get some DCAS, and start stacking fast. You got the money. So your goal is to maybe do a combo, use DCAS for both at the same time, see when the buy flag hits and what the ratio is. Boom, you're good to go. The next question, or not question, no more questions. The helping animals. This week we donated to help Red Wings Horse Rescue to support the care, food and shelter and medical for the following animals. Jenny is a burro, which is a donkey. Jenny was pregnant in need of a home, and Red Wings helped her. In fact, on a recent drive, I saw a whole bunch of wild donkeys and horses, and it was kind of incredible to see. I never thought I saw that. Anyway, thank you to everybody in the chat as well. Thank you to the mods and everybody else. We do have, oh, by the way, DCA is tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. on CTO's channel. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel as well if you want to get smarter. So let's do some now live questions. And I'm going to drink some tea. And thank you as well to everybody who farmed the questions for me. Let's go. Let me see. Q Robin, smash the likes. Don't ever invest in snowboarding. The sport is going downhill fast. Brilliant joke. I love it. Yes. And I've been snowboarding for more than 33 years. Hard to believe. And back 33 years ago, the boards were nowhere near as good as they are today. Adam Q, let's get some love in the house for James Moss. Thank you so much, Adam Q. Over there in Australia. And Charles Kincannon, thoughts on dip before halving. The great, this is a question regarding thoughts on, do I believe Bitcoin could dip before the halving? Literally every single dip is bought up. We had one we had one a few hours ago. Let me show you exactly what happened. Bitcoin fell to 37,100 and it just added 500 points literally in an hour or so. The point is every dip is bought up. The on-chain is insane. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it literally is. The hardness is off the charts. The long-term holder supply is going through the roof. The liquid supply is tanking. So and the money is about to come again. We're 40 days, probably. Don't know, maybe 44 days from a spot ETF. And then there could be a tiny buy the rumor, sell the news event happen. Once the news of a spot comes out and people see, oh, 7 billion didn't flow in the first week. There could be a dip. All right. But I doubt it. People know where this is going. Only fools are selling here. Yeah, I don't see it. Unless something really bad happened in the world. That's the black swan I've been referring to. But no. And remember all the tailwinds, not just scarcity, the halving. The education is far superior now than it was last cycle and the cycle before that. So we'll see. Question from Mr. Shake. Would you be able to share the Crypto Compendium score for PYTH? You mentioned earlier PYTH is the fastest horse in Oracle space in terms of upside, how you rank it in the existing crypto portfolio. Can PYTH be the next gem which you are looking for Sol? So a couple of things, a lot of stuff in that. Let me break it down real fast to make sure there's no misunderstanding. I look at relative values as an investor. When I look at the fully diluted market cap of Chainlink, it's 15 billion. I look at the market cap of PYTH, it's 700 million. Can it be bigger than a Chainlink in the next 2 years? Yes. I think it can be adopted faster because of my black hole theory. They have a different business model, however, but they do have more integrations with more chains, and it is quite powerful. It's also very fast in today's world, especially for things like stock markets and all the other adoption. You need real-time data. You can't wait more than 300 milliseconds. So from that perspective, I do think it will do well. Is it the next Sol? No, it's not, because it's not a layer one. It's a utility. And utilities never garner the same value as core underlying infrastructure, like a layer one. Always been my theory. Same thing looking back in the day in the 90s. You had like DSL providers. People thought they'd do really well. but that stuff just gets commoditized in time. So you don't want things that are kind of heavily commoditized. But could PYTH do well? Could it be the #1 oracle on the planet in 3 to 5 years? And I know the Link Marines will go nuts when they hear that. The thing, what people have to understand as well, is very important. We are in a world now where technology changes so fast. If you built something 5 years ago or 7 years ago, you're going to have what's called tech debt. You're going to have legacy code, legacy speeds, legacy know-how, and it's very hard to shake that and modernize. That's the problem with older stuff. That's why, beyond the newer stuff, it's faster, cheaper, better, more secure. Again, I probably triggered some people there, but we'll see. All the bag holders. So hope that helps, Mr. Shake. Happy feet. What cold storage wallets would support PYTH? I get that all the time. I think it's called, I looked up, I'll make a Patreon post later. I don't want to say the name of the wrong wallet in case I don't have it in my head right, and promote some other product that won't actually work. So I will post that to you in Happy Feet on Patreon this afternoon, as well as other options. But typical stuff like the Trezors and Ledgers, of course, don't work for it. It's new. And I like, for me, well, I won't say how I do, but I don't put my PYTH in cold storage, but it's also a very, very, very small position. It's like less than 1% of my SOL. Far less, actually. Bill Wemmers, cold storage for PYTH, where? Same question again. I did look it up 2 days ago, and I think I know the name, but I don't want to get it wrong. So stay with me. I'll post it in Patreon later. Matson Magleby, if JP cuts in March because economy wrecked, won't less people be able to buy a new Tesla? So this is kind of interesting. What people don't realize is people need new cars. People can't afford to service and maintain old vehicles. People can't afford the crazy gas prices. Now you can get a new Model 3 for $299 a month. Now, for people that need to drive 50 miles every day to work, or 100 miles every day to work, heaven forbid, or even 30 miles, they need a car that's safe, and a car that doesn't cost them a fortune, and a car that has zero maintenance. Okay, I have a Model X, 5 years old, zero maintenance. It cost me $4 to tank it. Full tank of gas, $4 of electricity. Okay, my previous car would cost $120 to fill, and it was an X6M BMW, and it was thirsty, very thirsty, and I feel bad for polluting the environment. So now, the last 5 years I haven't. So people, the more the Tesla organization cuts the price of cars, the more they blow up the market. So no matter how bad the recession is, people will still be able to afford a Tesla because they need it as a chariot to take them to and from work, to live, to take the family to sports events or whatever else, go shopping. That's just the nature of the beast. So they're going to sell, no problem. And when people drive a Tesla and when people see that it doesn't cost them any money, it melts their minds. And that's why as well, Tesla have the highest customer retention of any brand of vehicle on the planet. Highest. People, once Tesla never go back. It's another thing coming out with all these weird things today. Anywho, Matson, hope that helps. Dial up Dan. Oh, by the way, one other thing as well for Matson regarding recessions. Remember, there's always money in the system. And by the time the government tells you you are in a recession, we're already out of it. I think we had a recession. It just didn't show up in government data. I know for a fact, 6 months ago, 18 of the 50 states in the United States were in a recession. So, next question from Dial Up Dan. I'm a new user of ATR model trying it out with margin trading. Would you suggest using it for spot? So what ATR does is tells you where things are going on a longer time frame, like a 12-hour, a 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. You can use margin trading for anything. This will tell you where to go, but it depends on the margin trading. You don't want to do like 100x leverage on crypto, but I use margin trading on equities all the time. So hope that helps. And spend time in Discourse. There's so much knowledge there with all the users of ATR right now. And check as well the crowdsource data sheet. I'll be updating as well for some of the new settings. And from Rhonda, best education every week. I cannot thank you enough for your knowledge and passion. thank you so much, Ron. It's my pleasure to do this. It really is. And thank you as well for your super stickers. Justice for All, Fest Duche, Sir Winston, Kamikars Creations. Oh, Kamikars made a great post about ATR this morning as well. Check that out on Discourse. Discourse, by the way, is our in-depth community where people go deep on subjects, and every subject is covered. Forrest M, Cat with a K, Investing KO, Sir Winston, Dog One, Dr. Chris, Mr. Shake, and my question was not answered completely. Let's go back to that compendium score. I don't have the compendium score because we don't do outside the top 500 cryptos because there's no data feed. Sorry, I forgot that. There's no data feed to calculate the score. So to calculate the score, we've got to pull in like 60 different data points and churn them together and create composite scores across many different metrics. And that simply doesn't exist for things outside. But as I did mention as well, PYTH does have it, but we don't have the APIs and the data providers hooked up because they don't have it hooked up. But if we go directly to the source, we can pull in the data and create the compendium score. So for you, I will try to do it. But remember as well, there's a problem. When you have a brand new token, okay, where 15% is out there, another 85% is going to come over the next 4 or 5 years, there will be inflation. And the compendium score will get dinged for that. But as I mentioned, there are sometimes I make an exception to the compendium score, and that is if the relative market caps are darn cheap. 700 million versus 15 billion for Chainlink. That's the investing thesis. And that's the important part. Can PYTH compete with Link? Can they compete on par? Or will PYTH do more than Link over time? If that's the case, remember, Chainlink has a 7-year head start building partnerships and everything else. PYTH, what they've done in 2 years is mind-blowing. And what they'll do over the next 2 years will also be mind-blowing. And given all the other metrics I look at for Solana and all the DePIN projects, it's going to be crazy. So I do believe PYTH could be a $10 billion company, which is a $5 price in the next 2 to 3 years. If the tokenization of the world happens in real world assets, etc. But no compendium score yet, but it wouldn't be that good anyway because of the amount of tokens that will hit the market over the next 4 or 5 years. So sorry for being so long-winded. Thank you so much as well to the mod for picking up on that. You know, it's very hard doing this because you are juggling 1,000 different topics, live questions. My head is only so big. So big thank you to everybody for coming, and have a great weekend, everybody. Now, Bitcoin keeps on going up, which is great. And have a great weekend. I'll see you all tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. 3,000 people watching live. Woohoo! Hello, everybody. Hit the like on the way out, and see you all tomorrow. And Mr. Shake, I will get you that compendium score. It's not going to be pretty. I'll publish it on Patreon. Thanks all. Bye.